This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young on ESPN Radio 94.1.
On this beautiful Saturday morning, the 14th day of November, we welcome you back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on ESPN Radio 94.1 with the Coach Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield, Kyle Hightower, other side of the glass. And as always, 757 Saturday Sports Talk is brought to you each and every Saturday morning by Larry King Law. If you're injured in an accident, you call 757-595-8100 for Larry King. We've got coming up at around 11:25 or so, it'll be Chris Monter to talk some college hoops with us. Also, more importantly, I think the NBA, because the NBA draft's coming up on Wednesday. And then Chuck Culpepper will stop by, hopefully from the Washington Post, to fill us in on his thoughts when it comes to college football and the Masters. I think Chuck covered the Notre Dame-Clemson game last Saturday night. I'm not 100% positive of that, but I think he was there in person covering that. And he's at the Marshall 50-year deal today. So right now, though, we're going to fire up the picks in the league where they play for pay. NFL week numbers. It's week 10. Yeah, it is. Pick 3 selections. Here's how it works. The winner from last week, which unfortunately was Ed Young, who finally snapped my 8 consecutive winning weeks streak. He'll go first. Then I'll take 2. He'll take 2. These are all against the point spread. Then I'll get the last pick. We'll also give you Dino's Dog, his bow wow, woof woof, and Kyle might even chime in with some picks. You got some picks too there, Mr. Hightower? Are you ready to roll?
Sure,
with
I'll
this?
make a couple. Right. Do you guys usually do 3?
We'll do 3. If you got 3 for you, we'll give you props on your winners. I think the last time you did this, you were 2-1 with us. So now I am 19-6-2 against the spread. Kyle, I had a 1-2 week last week, 76%. Ed is 11-16, 41%. He was 2-1 last week. Can he catch me, or am I in the clear here?
You never know. It's the NFL.
It is the NFL. I'd have to have a few goose eggs and him have a few goose eggs in the loss column with me having them in the win column. But before Ed gets the floor for his first selection, let's give you Dino's Dog. And he got it right last week. He moved to 4-5. Dino's been kind of up and down roller coaster, but he's picking just underdogs to cover, and in this case, I believe, win outright. Dino's going with the Seattle Seahawks and one Russell Wilson, the collegiate high grad out of Richmond, to get it done on the road, getting 2.5. It's 2 in some places, but we'll give him the extra half a hook, because it is in a couple odds places at 2.5. So he's going with the Seahawks to get him to 500 on the year at 5-5 to snap back after the loss last week to Buffalo and beat the Rams to stay atop the very rugged NFC West division. So Dino Franza's Dog, Seattle plus 2.5. So Ed, are you going to be a copycat again and steal that for your first pick this week? Or are you going to go with something original?
I was looking at it.
Don't do it.
I think I was going to take the Rams, but I'm not going to touch it.
Good for
let
you.
Dino have it. I won't put a jinx on him at all.
That's nice.
For my first pick, I will select from Tampa Bay, Florida, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
5.5 over Carolina. Is that right?
I'm showing 6 here. Do we give him the 5.5, Kyle? What do you say? You be the arbiter here for this. You give him the 5.5, or are we going to make him stick to 6?
Got to go with 6.
There you go, 6. You going to get off it now?
Updated odds.
Kyle is tough. He is a tough arbitrator.
Ed's looking at the newspaper from like 3 days ago. This is how he does this every week.
Give me Tampa Bay. They're getting the -6. I think they'll do it. They got smashed last week. I don't see Carolina. Bridgewater's a decent quarterback, but I think Brady gets him going again.
All right, so the Bucs laying the 6 on the road.
It's going to be rough when Ryan Suckup misses an extra point to make it a 7-point game at the end.
I love that. Give him a push. I'll be texting him. Matter of fact, I thought that was going to happen to me last week with the Chiefs at 10.5. Or 10, I had him rather at 10, and they missed the extra point, which I actually got earlier in the year with an under with the Butker missed extra point against the Ravens to get an under there in Week 3 versus Baltimore, but it didn't matter because Carolina scored again to cut it to 2, and they played well on the road against KC. They're coming home this week. So Ed's first pick, the Bucs laying 6. I got 2 selections to go here, back to back. I'm going to do this, Kyle, just to mess with Ed, and this I've got a healthy enough lead I can mess with him, but I also think they'll actually win and cover this. And they were pretty fortunate last week. Did you watch into that Raiders-Chargers game last week?
I saw some of it, yeah.
Crazy finish. And Ed got a win on that. So I'm going to go with the Raiders -4. Because if they win, I win. If they lose, Ed's miserable. And what better way to do this with a comfy 9-game lead than to take the Raiders, laying the 4 at home against the Denver Broncos. Actually, they're pretty good, and I think they can win this by more than a field goal. They've been living on the edge. I don't have too much faith in Denver's passing game there with Drew Lock to go on the road and keep up in what has the makings to be a high-scoring game in the upper 20s, low 30s. So give me Vegas laying a 4 against Denver for pick number 1. Pick number 2, looked at a couple underdogs pretty hard here. I'm staying off the over-unders. I was on a nice little run of overs and unders, more unders than overs. It burned me last week with that under of Seattle Buffalo. So I'm staying away from over-unders today so I don't have another bad week here. But I tell you what, and I'm breaking a rule here. Team I root for, Arizona Cardinals, laying 2.5 against the Buffalo Bills. Are you showing 2.5 in there, by the way, for the Cards? Is that what you have it at right now?
3.
I do see 2.5, yes.
There you go. Thank you, Kyle. 2.5. Nice try, Ed. Listen, Cliff Kingsbury cost him that game last week. Did you see what he did? By the way, this was a week after the bye where Kyler Murray in that thrilling overtime, and they were lucky as all get out to beat the Seahawks. He said, or Murray said to him, we're not going to ever get conservative again in a big spot. Next time, go for it. And remember, they missed a field goal. They were lucky to win that Seattle game. So what do? 4th and 1 against the Dolphins. You have a quarterback who, yeah, he can be spotty accuracy-wise, but Kyler Murray's as athletic as they get this position. He's the NFC version of Lamar Jackson, if you will. 4th and 1, you don't have faith in Murray to get a first down there. You kick a 49-yard field goal, which was, you could see it from a mile away, it was not going to go in. I think they bounced back against Buffalo, who I don't think could have played any better offensively at home against the Seahawks. Now they're going on the road to Arizona. And as a Cards fan, you tell me they lose under a 3-game home stretch in a row, 2 out of 3 to the Dolphins and Bills that are beating Seattle. That will not sit well for that team. I think they know this is a very pivotal spot despite the injuries on defense. Give me the Cards minus 2.5 to go with the Raiders laying 4. So Ed gets a chance to get a double whammy should Arizona lose this game. He's got the floor for the next 2.
All right, next 2. Give me Miami. I think the first time all year I've gone with Miami, and I better get a ding-ding out of these Dolphin dings.
So you want 2 ding-dings again?
I want 2 ding-dings again with when the Dolphins beat the Chargers.
All right, I've got it at 1.5. Is that what you have as well, Kyle, for that? 1.5 for Miami?
Yep, 1.5.
All right, against the Chargers, the Superchargers, who have not been so super, by the way. Have you seen some of the stats on the Chargers, Ed, lately?
Hey, the rookie quarterback's not bad.
Justin Herbert,
somewhat.
He's pretty decent.
Defense is questionable.
They've had 6 losses by 7 points or less this year. Just 1 win in such games. And they suffered 10 losses by 7 points or less last year with just 2 victories. That is heartbreak hotel for them. So
you're going goes with their opponents.
And Tua Tagovailoa, which I'm not sure you can pronounce, although you can maybe spell it. You can just Tua. Okay.
I just stay with Tua.
By the way, you see his younger brother last week from Maryland? He's pretty good. Not bad.
I got my second one right.
Go ahead. Yep, you got Dolphins minus 1.5 and Bucks minus 6.
This one I'm going to be treading on the thin ice of the lakes in Minnesota. I hope there's some lakes out there. I'm going under the 43.
Ooh.
It's Minnesota at Chicago, so it's going to be nasty weather. Neither one of these teams, I think, are big scores to begin with. 25-mile-an-hour wind, I'm guessing. I'm saying it's 21-17 Minnesota.
21-17.
That puts it under 43.
Which would mean, for my last pick, I'm going to stick with that Monday Night Football and our local theme because they've been winning for me. I think I picked them 2 of the last 3 weeks, and he did make a start for them not too long ago here. Jalen Holmes out of Lake Taylor High in Norfolk, been a guest on the program, on the station, many a times. Have you seen Dalvin Cook the last 2 weeks? He has been out of his mind running the ball. 200-plus yards. He's looking like an MVP candidate. Now, granted, he's not going to get MVP with them being 3-5. However, if you look at the Vikings' schedule, they got a chance to sneak around. I'm not going to say win the division. They could maybe grab one of those final wild card spots if they can get to, I think, 9 wins. They got to go, I think, 6-2 the rest of the way. And I think it is doable against a Bears team that, sorry, Dino's going the other way here. Give me Minnesota. I'm showing 2.5, Kyle. Is that what you have for them in there?
For Minnesota?
Yeah.
I've got -3 in here.
Oh, you're going to get me go -3 with the push here. I'll take it either way. I like 2.5 better. However, I'm going to go with the Vikes here on the road against the Bears. I think they get it done. Dalvin Cook, I don't see them stopping him. So I will take another favorite. No Bow Wow, though I looked really hard at Cincinnati. with Andrew Brown, by the way, out of Oscar Smith High School on that defensive line for the Bengals. Getting to 7.5. I know Big Ben's coming back. So my picks to recap: Vikings laying the 3, Cardinals minus 2.5, Vegas Raiders minus 4. Ed's going with the Buccaneers laying the 6, Miami minus 1.5. Under 43 for the Vikes and the Bears on Monday Night Football on ESPN, and you'll hear it also here on ESPN Radio 94.1. And Dino's Dog is Seattle plus 2.5, and now Kyle Hightower gives you his choices for week number 10 in the NFL.
All right, first up, I'm going to take Washington at plus 4 against the Lions.
Ooh.
The Lions have not looked great recently, and Washington's last 3 games, they've either won or kept it within a field goal. Granted, that was against Giants, Cowboys, Giants, but Lions are pretty bad too. So, and they're going to be without Kenny Golladay, so they don't have a huge firepower on offense. I think Washington keeps it close. I don't know if they win or not, but I think they keep it within a field goal. Next up, this is probably a bad pick because it's a little bit of a homer pick, but I think the Eagles actually beat the Giants this time by more than a field goal, and they're minus 4 right now, so I'm going to say they win by a touchdown, maybe with a late cover. It's still probably going to be an ugly game, even though they're starting to get healthy. Those games, for whatever reason, are always close, but I think they have a late cover. And then lastly, I'm also going with Dolphins-Chargers game, but I'm going to say the over on 48. I think that game ends up being a shootout, kind of like the Dolphins-Cardinals last week.
So there you go. Kyle going with over 48 with the Dolphins and the Chargers. Ed's taking the Dolphins as the home favorite against the hard luck Lightning Bolts. Taking Philly to get it done in the NFC East battle, and taking the Washington football team getting the points, more than a field goal there, against the Detroit Lions. By the way, how about Travis Fulgham for the Eagles? Has he been something else or what?
He's been a stud.
He has been great. They've got another local player, Travis, of course, out of Old Dominion University. Josh Sweat on that defensive line from Oscar Smith High School and Chesapeake, getting more reps at times for them on that D-line. So there you have it, the picks. And do you feel good about them winning the division still? Or do you feel like, this could be dicey to the end?
Yeah, I think they'll win, but they'll probably have 6 or 7 wins.
Yeah, the fewest to ever win a division, I believe, was Seattle there. They went 7-9, was it not? I think so. That has to be the lowest. Right now, Ed, your Raiders and my Cardinals are projected to get 6 seeds, I think it is, at last glance.
I'm amazed that they can get into the playoffs. 6 seed, I think there's going to obviously be more movement in that AFC and NFC too. I think they'll definitely, we've got 6 more games?
We've got, we're at the halfway point, 8 more.
Yeah. So, there's going to definitely be a lot more movement. And I don't think the Raiders are as solid as a playoff shot as Arizona is.
Let's hope COVID doesn't rear its ugly head. And I think we had the poll question a couple weeks back. I think it was during the second hour, you and Dino, when I had to bolt to the VB Sports Center, about the best chance for a local guy to get a ring next. I mean, we know Derek Nottie got it last year with the Chiefs out of Ocean Lakes High School. I don't know if the Ravens can do it this year, but I think Chuck Clark has certainly cemented himself as right now the best performer locally among our 7-5-7 guys in terms of weekly production. Now, granted, you can put Fulgham right there with the Eagles catching these passes here at ODU, but Clark, week after week, he's making big plays, tackles. He's leading them in tackles. He's getting a takeaway, or he's scoring a touchdown like he did last week. I think he right now would probably be the guy you'd go with as the best 7-5-7 player in the NFL, or do you disagree, Edward?
Yeah, I think he's putting himself in that situation. A good thing is he's on a team, a very good team that has a chance to get all the way to the Super Bowl and win it. Of course, they're going to have to get through Kansas City, who's probably the number 1 team right now, and of course Pittsburgh, who's the only undefeated team left. So they would have a tougher shot, and they're going to play Pittsburgh again coming up, even though they've lost them already. But I think Chuck has done a great job to put himself as one of the better defenders in the National Football League.
We were talking about this the other day before we go to break here that I think there's 3 teams in the AFC that probably can lay stake to a legitimate claim. I'm not ready to put Buffalo there just yet. They beat my Cardinals, they'll shut me up, and I'll put them there. But AFC, I think 3 teams legitimate chances to get to the Super Bowl with KC, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. The NFC, I can give you 6 or 7 teams from week to week. I know New Orleans looks so mighty good against Tampa Bay on Sunday Night Football, but, I mean, it wouldn't stun me if we turn around and see the Saints have a less than stellar performance against the Niners and, lose. I know they're a hefty favorite in that game, but I give you 6, 7 teams from week to week. The NFC favorite kind of changes.
Yeah, as crazy as this sounds, the NFC East has been just, come on now. I whoever wins that conference, and I think Philly will, could get hot. Again, COVID, we got to watch for COVID, could be hot and get in the Final Four with a losing record.
Granted, like a team like my Cardinals, for example, you don't want to go to Philly where it's cold. I can see what you're saying there. Hey, this just in, I see from Brett McMurphy, the Miami-Virginia Tech game coming up at noon. We know the Hokies trying to bounce back from a loss to Liberty. Miami's going to be without 13 players today, including 3 starters, Ja'Kai Clark on the offensive line, linebacker Zach McLeod, and D-tackle Jared Harrison Hunte. So I'm not sure what the line is. I know Tech opened up as a favorite, believe it or not, after losing to Liberty at home against the Canes, but without 13 guys, that is a big blow there for Miami, missing 3 starters, 2 on the defensive side of the ball in that ACC clash coming up later today at high noon. Go ahead.
I noticed Miami is a 2.5-point favorite. And
now?
the over-under is 68.
I thought Tech opened as a favorite in that game. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I saw that.